Welcome to JTextFormatter. This is Aaron Bittman, software developer, bookworm. I've already posted on GitHub my source code of another text formatter program and posted a demo video of that. This program is pretty much the same, except that I wrote my previous text formatter program in Python and this version in Java, just to show that I can code in both of those languages. I called my Java version JTextFormatter just to distinguish it from my previous text formatter project. If you've seen the other programs that I wrote and posted on GitHub with their many powerful features, you might wonder why I would bother to post such a small, simple program as text formatter onto GitHub. The short answer is that I found this little program surprisingly useful on multiple occasions. I thought maybe other people might find it useful also. I'll get to the long answer later. The purpose of this program is to take text in one format and output that text into a nicer format. What do I mean by nicer? Well, let's look at an example. Gone with the Wind by Margaret Mitchell. I chose that book because it's the longest of all the books I happen to download at over 400,000 words, so you'll see how quickly my program runs. Let's look at it. Every line in the book ends with a new line character so that no matter how widely I stretch the window, the text will not take advantage of the extra space. If I make the window narrower, Notepad doesn't know how to delineate the lines. I can think of no editor that would know. My program deals with that matter. My program also fully justifies the text. What does fully justify mean? When the text lines up on the left margin, that's called left justification. When it lines up on the right, that's called right justification. When it lines up on the left and right, that's full justification. Also, notice that the paragraphs are separated by a blank line. My program assumes that they are. Now, let's look at my program, JTextFormatter. You can either save your input as unformatted.txt or change the file name in the program here. You can also change the name of the output file. You can specify how long you want the output lines to be. And here, you can specify how many spaces to indent for a new paragraph. Now, let's run it. See how fast that was? Now let's see the output. Isn't that pretty? Now, if I bring it up in a fixed width font in which every character has the same width, such as Courier New, the text will line up nicely on both sides, and more importantly, if I print out this file, I can take full advantage of the width of the paper by specifying how many characters will fit on it. I decided that indenting would suffice for starting a paragraph, so I wouldn't need to skip a line between paragraphs. So again, my program can save some paper. That's all you need to know, so you can stop here. For the rest of this video, I just want to talk about the history of this program and why I wrote it. In college, to get my degree in computer science, I had to take a course in assembly language. One project I had to do for that class was to write a program similar to this one. It may seem funny or pathetic for me to take pride in such a thing, but, well, I do. I was one of only 3 students in that class to get the project done on time. The other 22 students not only failed to get it done on time, but even when given an extension, still didn't manage to get it working. One student ranted that she wanted to kill the instructor. Yeah, that project was difficult and frustrating. The problem was that in assembly language, it was impossible to write that program in an organized fashion. It was an exercise in spaghetti code. A few years later, after I finished college, I was still trying to get used to object-oriented programming. How do you go about designing an object-oriented program? And is an object-oriented program really better organized than a program written in, say, a structured programming language? To help me understand the matter, I assigned myself the project of writing that text formatting program in C++. And yes, the resulting program was neat, readable, and organized. It certainly didn't make me want to kill anyone. So I learned something, but I still regarded the project as a purely abstract problem. I didn't think I would ever find a use for the thing, and I forgot about it. Fast forward a few months. I happened to download a few books from Project Gutenberg. This was back in the 1990s, and back then some of those books were in a horribly ugly format that would interfere with their readability. Furthermore, I wanted to print a couple of books out so I could read them at times when I wouldn't have access to a computer. It took a while, a few hours I think, for me to remember, hey, didn't I write a program for just this sort of problem? It took the slightest modification of my program to convert those books to a nice readable format that took full advantage of the width of my printout paper. Now fast forward again, this time more than 20 years. By this time, of course, I had plenty of experience in object-oriented programming under my belt. That was no longer the issue. But I was just starting to learn Python, and to get my feet wet, I decided to write a Python version of my text formatter program. But once again, I thought of it only as an abstract problem, not anything useful. But then, a few months later, history repeated itself. I downloaded a couple of books from Project Gutenberg. By this time, of course, the website looked much more professional. I wouldn't call those books ugly. But once again, I found myself in a situation where I wanted to print out some of those books to read at times when I wouldn't have access to a computer. To save trees, and to make those printouts easier to carry around, why not take full advantage of the paper I had by stretching out the lines to the greatest width that was feasible? And the full justification made the result look nice and professional. And now my program is available in Java as well as Python. So there's my story. Feel free to peruse my code and to use my programs, and feel welcome to give me any feedback on GitHub.